You ever notice how a whisper can become an earthquake if it finds the right crack? Tuesday's whisper, an NFL insider saying a longtime head coach is quietly eyeing a change of scenery, landed in Pittsburgh like a tremor. It wasn't a headline that named names, but for a city that measures its Sundays by decades and trophies, the implication was electric. Could Mike Tomlin, the coach who's been the Steelers' steady hand since 2007, actually be thinking about walking away? NFLTradeRumors.go, the facts are simple and stubborn. Tomlin has been the Steelers' coach for 18 seasons. He's never presided over a losing year, and his voice still changes how players move in the huddle. That track record buys him a lot of grace. But context matters. Pittsburgh is 6-5. The season has taken a few unexpected turns, and locker room patience stretches thin when wins stop coming. When an insider like Josina Anderson drops a line about a longtime coach wanting a fresh start, it doesn't create the storyline so much as illuminate a tension that was already there. People read the tweet and, perhaps without thinking, point it at Tomlin, because who else fits the bill? SteelerNation.com. Here's the thing about rumors that smell like truth. They're part projection and part diagnostics. Fans who want change project their impatience onto a single moment. Reporters trying to measure the pulse of a league hear a whisper and publish it because it's the pulse they're paid to read. Tomlin's name bubbled up fast, not because Josina said it outright, but because there are only a handful of coaches with 2-decade resumes. The signal-to-noise problem here is emotional. This isn't just roster calculus. It's identity for a city that, rightly or not, holds its coaches to the weight of its history. Yahoo Thethau. Flip the lens and ask a different question. Why would a successful coach want out? It's not always drama. People burn out. Systems stagnate. After almost 2 decades, you stop getting surprised in practice. You start memorizing the same expressions on players' faces. Tomlin isn't ancient in coaching terms, but longevity brings a particular exhaustion. The travel, the press cycles, the perpetual negotiations with agents and ownership about talent you don't control. Add a middling season, public whispers, and the knowledge that a new city offers a fresh storyline, and the idea of a change of scenery starts to look less like betrayal and more like mid-career self-preservation. Odyssey. That said, let's be honest about the counterweight. Tomlin's contract position and his legacy. He's under contract, and the Steelers haven't been a franchise that discards its head coaches lightly. The house he built in Pittsburgh, culture, identity, a succession of playoff runs, is not an easy thing to leave on a whim. And for fans, the thought of losing him carries a weird double grief. Not only the loss of a coach, but the loss of the continuity that made the Steelers feel like something immune to the league's annual churn. So when the rumor mill points in his direction, it's both a critique of results and a sort of anxious mourning for certainty. TribLive.com. Now let's cut through the headlines and get surgical. The Steelers aren't collapsing. They won a rivalry game. They still sit in the thick of the AFC North race, and they have a veteran quarterback who's been doing his best to steady a season. But the team also looks at times like a franchise scraping to knit together identity and performance. Opportunistic defense, spotty offense, moments of grit stitched together by a few players who keep finding ways to make something happen. That cocktail works when the margin is wide. It becomes risky when margin's thin, and the league's calendar punishes every misstep. Coaches feel that pressure first. Rotors. And whatever you feel about whether Tomlin should stay or go, you can't ignore the human texture. Coaches are people who watch their work being judged in public, whose private conversations get summarized into hot takes, and who eventually count the cost of staying. A wanting a change line could mean anything from a flirtation with another job to a real plan. It could be a bargaining chip to reset expectations with ownership, or it could be nothing at all. League insiders float ideas like ballast to see what surfaces. The smart reader treats it like a data point, not a verdict. TheSpun.com. Still, imagine the dominoes. If Tomlin truly wanted out, Pittsburgh would be forced into a choice no market likes. Chase continuity or chase renewal. Continuity keeps a culture intact but risks repeating patterns that feel stale. Renewal promises fresh strategy but breaks a rare thread of stability. Either path costs something: draft capital, coaching cohesion, a season's momentum. And if the rumor pushes ownership and Tomlin into a conversation, the end result could be framed as either courageous transition or painful divorce, depending on timing and optics. Yardbarker. So where does this leave us Sunday after Sunday? For now, it leaves football. The Steelers still play. Tomlin will coach the next game, and the team will try to win with the resources it has. But the whisper will remain, not because it's necessarily true, but because it's useful. It forces the franchise to examine itself, and it forces fans to decide what they value more, legacy or results. Both are valid answers. Neither choice is easy. SteelerNation.com. If you want the image that sticks, picture a veteran coach in the tunnel before kickoff, gloved hands on a headset, eyes scanning a stadium that still believes in him, and a social feed that's already writing his exit speech. That split between the man who walks the sideline and the narrative that might carry him away is the modern NFL's quiet cruelty. It turns a rumor into a decision and a city's patience into a deadline. SteelerNation.com. In the end, rumors tell you less about conspiracies and more about impatience. They reveal what fans and insiders fear, that the things we've trusted for years can change in a season. Whether Tomlin stays or leaves, the ripples will reach far beyond Sunday's box score. For now, though, the ball's in motion, and the coach who has never posted a losing season yet is still human enough to wonder whether it's time for a new view out the window. The rest, the decisions, the negotiations, the phone calls in dark rooms, happens away from the crowd. We'll see which side of the rumor turns out to be real. TheSpun.com. You ever watch a rumor start as a whisper and then turn into a stadium chant? That's where we are with Mike Tomlin this week. A single line from Josina Anderson about a longtime NFL head coach who's considering wanting a change of scenery lit up the internet, and most fans immediately pointed the finger at Pittsburgh's coach. X, formerly Twitter. Put bluntly, the report didn't name names, but context does a lot of heavy lifting. Tomlin has been the Steelers' coach since 2007, one of the longest tenures in pro sports, and this season's stumble has critics louder than usual. The idea that a veteran coach might quietly be weighing an exit isn't scandalous. It's a human reaction to stress, scrutiny, and a locker room that's underperforming compared to expectations. SI, let's be clear about the baseline facts before we fever check the timeline. Tomlin is a proven winner, long tenure, Super Bowl ring, and a resume that makes him close to unfireable. He's also a man who just took on another season in a city that worships stability. There are public reminders, past comments, and reporting that Tomlin has expressed commitment to Pittsburgh in the recent past. That history complicates any "he wants out" narrative. Reuters. So why is the chatter so loud now? Two things colliding. One, optics. The Steelers are 6-5 and flirting with disappointment in a division they've owned for decades. And when a team that once felt like an annual threat looks listless, it invites questions about leadership. Two, timing. The NFL's offseason coaching carousel is already being scoped out by insiders, and Anderson's note about a veteran coach considering a change is the kind of whisper that fandom translates into a name within minutes. Media outlets and fan communities amplified the hint, and suddenly the rumor has momentum. Yahoo Thethau. Now the sensible brain asks, would Tomlin actually bolt? There are reasons to doubt it. He's embedded in Pittsburgh. He recently signed extensions and has a legacy here that's rare. He's also contractually secure and, by reputation, not one to desert a franchise mid-building project. But there are also reasons a longtime coach might consider a reset. New personal priorities, frustration with organizational direction, or simply the desire for a new challenge after 18 seasons of the same daily grind. Coaches are people. They tire, they reassess, and sometimes they want fresh air. Reuters, let's map the consequences if the rumor has teeth. If Tomlin did want out, or if the organization decides change is necessary, Pittsburgh would face a seismic week, a coaching vacancy for a blue blood franchise, an ownership decision about continuity versus reinvention, and a ripple across the market as other teams eye an experienced Hall of Fame